What's up? What's up, squad? Welcome to the Hangout, or welcome back if you've been here before. I am BJ Kicks, and like I said, this is the Hangout. This is the live show. This is making our triumphant return. It's been like a month since I've gotten to do one of these live streams to hang out with you guys. But this is the show where we talk about comics, we talk about comic book news and current events, as it were, and we just have a good time. This is my chance to kind of unwind and get some feedback from you guys and have like a conversation as opposed to just talking to a microphone or a camera all day. So if you're here in the chat, say what's up. I'm excited to see you. What's up? My man Menterprises is here. Tyler Smith says, take that old AC unit. Yes. My man James says, what is this? This can't be happening. The Hangouts returned. Someone tell the press. Red rum or re-rum trading is first to say first. That's funny. And first hit the like button. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Carson's here. What's up, Carson? With the toasted marshmallows. Always dope. Tim Sheeran's here. I think I shouted you out already, Tyler, but what's up, everybody? Thank you all for being here. It feels good to be back. Feels good to be back. YZ250 says, what's up? I'm ordering all Sandman Absolutes tonight or tomorrow night. Word. I'm not familiar with Sandman. I mean, like, I know that Sandman is a thing and that a lot of people are big fans of Sandman, but I've never read the comics, and I also have not watched the new show on Netflix. But let me know what you think of it. Sandman was one of those things that, like, when I got into comics, people were talking about it, and it just seemed like almost like the Lord of the Rings of comics, where it just seemed like it might be inaccessible, too much to try to, tackle. And so I never got into it. And I could very well be wrong. Yo, let's see. Art Walker's here. What's up? What's up? Aku is here. Says, BJ, what you've been reading? What do you suggest for reads? We'll talk about that in a minute. So I've got a bit of an agenda for tonight's show. And first, we're going to talk about like where we've been for the last month, talk about some updates for the channel and like just for life in general. And then we'll talk about some of the recent news items that have come out, particularly around DC and their lack of media properties. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. But before we get into that, if you guys are members of the K Squad on Facebook and or Discord, I think there's like 800 of us between the two platforms, and I appreciate you all being a part of the community, sharing fun comics with each other, reviewing stories, recommending stories. By the way, that is the best way to get like comic recommendations, is to join the K Squad, because it's not just me. There's like a bunch of people in there reading books, and they review the books they read every week and every day. So it's a really dope place to be. So join the Discord. I believe the links are in the description below. And if not, they're in the description of like every other video on the channel. So join the K Squad. But I wanted to take a minute to acknowledge another member of the K Squad, one of our brethren, one of our family members, my man Kamar. You may know him here on YouTube as Android Topic, but Kamar is a very active member of the K Squad. He reads a lot of books and he reviews a lot of books. And without going into too much detail, Kamar's facing a tough time health-wise. He's been in and out of the hospital for a while, dealing with a couple of different illnesses. And he's just, he's not having the best time right now. So for those of you who like, pray, I would encourage you to send prayers his way, or I guess to God on his behalf, right? But I just wanted to stop and acknowledge Kamar and just say, yo, what's up, man? We see you. We're here with you. Our hearts are with you, and we're praying that things get better for you. So I hate to start off on a quote unquote sad note, but look, we're a community, we're a family, we support each other. So I just wanted to acknowledge Kamar and just say, thoughts and prayers with Kamar and his family. So praying that situation just gets better. Um, and with that, we can get on with the show. Um, Ronnie Silas is here. He says, "Hey, what's good?" Let's see. Why is 6-part Aquaman Flash so expensive? Only buying because two of my favorite characters. 6-part Aquaman Flash. What story are you talking about? Vendy's here. Vendy says, "Yo, what's up?" Art Walker just got all 3 Jeff Johns Green Lantern Omnis. Have you read them? What do you think of them? No, I've only read the first 6 issues of Volume 1, which is Green Lantern Rebirth, which I enjoyed. But Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run focuses primarily on Hal, although he does bring in the rest of the core, and it does get continued in a Green Lantern core series. I just haven't made the time to read that whole first Omni, but I did enjoy Green Lantern Rebirth, and I think if you're a Hal Jordan fan, the Jeff Johns run is like regarded as probably the best run for the character. So I think you're in for a treat. Let's see. Aku says, "What's his YouTube channel?" I don't think Kamar actually makes videos, but his name here on YouTube is Android Topic. So if you see him in the comment sections, that's Kamar. Fourth Wall Comics says, "Prayers up." Carson says he's on my prayer list. I appreciate that. Fourth Wall, my man Danny says, "The AC must be back on." Yes, yes, it is. It is. Comics with Your Average Joe says, "Glad to see your air being fixed. I know how it is in NC." Yeah, man. So let's get into it. Let's get into where I've been. Um, so a couple of significant things have happened in the last month. The first thing, on the 15th of July, our AC stopped working. And man, that was an ordeal. So we were without AC for about a week. They came out and fixed it. And then 3 days later, it was out again. And we just got it fixed. They replaced the whole AC unit this past Saturday. So we are on day five of a well-cooled home, because it was crazy, man. It was like 92 and 94 degrees inside the house, because we're in like the middle of a heat wave in North Carolina. So I don't even know if we call it a heat wave. I think it's just summer at this point. Like, North Carolina heat is just crazy in the summertime. So, dealing with that with my wife and 2 kids, it was like they gave us these portable units, but you had to like crowd in front of them like a radio or something. That was insane. It was wild. But anyway, they finally fixed the AC this week, and that was the biggest reason I wasn't streaming. Like, yeah, I could be in this room, but between the light and just the temperature in the house altogether, that would have been a lot to sit here for like an hour and some change and stream. But then also a hot house, you got a cranky baby, so it would have been rough to leave my wife with the kids for that long as well. So yeah, I took a bit of a break from the channel. And then on top of that, the AC went out on the 15th, and on the 18th, I started a brand new job. I mean, not a brand new, it's a promotion in my current job. But my job just got like way, way busier, like way busy. So I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. When I was putting videos up every day, I was actually like filming some during like the work day, like during lunch breaks or like just downtime. I don't have that downtime anymore. So I kind of have to get videos in when I can get them in. But also, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, I'm trying to take a different approach to the channel. So there's a certain type of video that we're just not going to see very much of anymore. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, between the AC being out and my new job, just having me a lot busier during the day, I had to just kind of take a step back from the channel. But for me, the priority on the channel is doing this hangout. I really enjoy hanging out with you guys. It's a bit of a stress reliever in the middle of the week, or like a nice lead in to the weekend, I would call it. And then, I like doing different series and stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm looking here at the comments. July heat with no AC is brutal. What's up, Craig? The woke NATO says John's run gets better as it goes on, especially when you get past the Ethan. All right, especially when you get into the Ivan Reyes art. Yo, what's up, Skip? Yeezy 2. Is it Yeezy 250? Is it YZ? I I see the YZ and I think of Kanye West. But anyway, you did respond to my comment on one of your videos, but I'm just going to say I'm eagerly awaiting your post-read review of the Kingstone Bible. I'm reading through it right now and I'm in Job. Yeah, man, I picked up that Kingstone Bible and I was really, really excited about it. And it's been sitting on a shelf ever since. I do need to like make more time to read books, which is why I'm going to like eventually like kind of slow down video production on this channel. Um, but yeah, so I do plan to read it, or at least I'll probably just read volume 1 and report back my findings from volume 1. I don't think I'm going to get through all 3 volumes before I do a review. Because one thing about the Kingstone Bible is it's pretty detailed. Let's see. The colorist needs to be replaced. Jesus wasn't white because geography. Yeah, it's debated. I'm sure he wasn't white. I think anyone can like look at the region and say, yeah, he wasn't white. But I mean, we don't know if he was like straight up black, if he was just more Middle Eastern. I don't know. For me, I mean, the Bible's the Bible. Western depictions are Western depictions, right? Like Jesus has been white all my life. Like, so it doesn't necessarily bother me to see white Jesus. Cause like when I think about Jesus, I'm not thinking about like his color. But yeah, certainly not geographically accurate or historically, the depictions that we see. So there's that. Your average Joe says, had an animal get under my home, tore up my ductwork, so the air was blowing under my home. We had to buy a window unit and pile up in a room for cool air. Yeah, that's pretty much what we did. Like we put the window unit in our master bedroom, and that's where we all hung out for like 2 weeks. It was crazy. Let's see. We don't need AC up here in Alaska. Wow. That's what's up, Geek Easy. Comic Book Report says, great hat, BJ. Thank you, man. I need to like stop wearing this because I went and got this signed at Heroes Con. It's signed by Koi Fam, Jimmy Palmiotti, and then Greg Burnham, who is the writer for Tuskegee Airs, and he's one of the people in the Milestone Initiative. But I can't keep wearing this signed hat or it's going to get messed up, and I can't wash it because it's signed. So I'm going to have to like try to get a new one of these. I got to make another one so I can actually wear that one every day and then keep this one on display somewhere. But it's one of my favorite hats. So it's probably my favorite hat. And I like it because it's unique. Like I know I'm the only one with this hat. I know for a fact because I designed it myself and I had it printed myself and I only printed one. So yeah, I'm gonna need to like, yeah, I'm gonna take you guys' advice. Carson says, get a trophy case for that hat. Comic Book Report says, put it in a legit shadow box or something. Yeah, I want to do something like that. There are a few more signatures that I want to get on this hat. One of which would be Dennis Cowan. I want to see if I can get Christopher Priest to sign it. Those are probably the two that mean the most to me. But yeah, we'll see. My man Danny says he's making a purple one. Word. I almost made this one black and white because you guys know, I mean, I pretty much wear black all the time. So I was just going to do the white circle with the white M and leave everything else black. But at the last minute, I decided to model it after the original Milestone merch that basically only Milestone alumni had. So yeah. What about Reggie Hudlin to sign it? Yeah, if I can get in the same room as Reggie Hudlin, my ultimate thing with this hat was anyone who's ever had anything to do with Milestone, I would want to sign it. Obviously, they're not all gonna fit on this brim, but whatever. Like, so if I ever met Joe Illidge, if I ever met, Dennis Cowan, if I ever met Yeah, there's a lot. There's a long list of names. But like Jimmy Palmiotti inked all those original Milestone covers, so that's why I got him to sign this. And yeah, we're getting a new Static Shock book after watching that documentary. I'm down for exploring Milestone characters. Yes, Miles or Static Shot or Static Shadows of Dakota is the new season of Static, and I believe it starts in October. I believe that's when that's coming out, and they got a lot of covers for it. So I'm planning on getting it. As a matter of fact, let's look it up on Lunar distribution and see if it's already listed with a release date. All right, yeah, they've got a cover A, cover B, and cover C, plus a 1 in 25, a 1 in 50, and a 1 in 100. But yeah, so I'm definitely ordering all of them. But the release date is October 4th. This site that I'm looking at doesn't have images of the cover, so let's see if they're in the new DC Connect, and then I'll pull it up on the screen in a minute. Download. Hurry up, man. All right, Static is in here. All right, so let me share my screen then. All right, so yes, this is Static Shadows of Dakota. This is the cover A by Nick Draper Ivy. For issue 1, you see Static, you see Ebon, which is really exciting. If you remember how season 1 ended, then there's a lot to be excited about. So here's the cover B by Olivier Coipel. We got the cover C by Chase Conley. And then here's the 1 in 25 by Dan Hip. The 1 in 50 and 1 in 100 are just these covers done in a foil type. So kind of like, let me grab it. So not sure how well you can tell the foil effect on this because it's already slabbed, but the 1 in 50 and 1 in 100 will look like this. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, let's see. This character design for Ebon's pretty dope as well. I mean, he looks like he does in the TV show. He doesn't look super changed, but he's got tattoos. He's got this cool little vest. And then we're going to get to see him when he's not like all phased out. So that's pretty cool. That's very cool. But yeah, that's Ivan or Ebon. So yeah, I'm excited about the new season of Static. Does it say who the 1 in 100 artist? Yes, the 1 in 100 artist is Coipel, Olivier Coipel. So this is the, oh wait. This is the cover that'll be the 1 in 100. And this is the cover that'll be the 1 in 50. But you could also just order this as a regular cover B and cover C. But then down here, you'll get the foil effect on the ratios. If I gotta say, like, I think the 1 in 25 is my least favorite of the covers, but I love that you get every iteration of Static. So you got him in the new suit, you got him in the new 52 suit, you got him in the animated series suit, and you got him here in the original suit. I guess this is like a variation of the new suit. It is. This is a variation of the suit he's wearing in season 1. So yeah, I like the suits, and that kind of saves it for me, just having all that history on one page. But my favorite is the Coipel cover. Definitely my favorite. So that's that. Now let's see. Just started reading the Milestone Compendium after watching the documentary. It's pretty good so far. I was a fan of the Static show, so to see him Like it's awesome. Yeah, I agree. I agree. That 1 in 100 is going to be a problem to get. The one saving grace I have is that my LCS knows how big a Static fan I am, but I know that even if they hold it for me, it's going to cost a pretty penny. So I got to start saving like right now. Um, Carson Farmer's a huge Christopher Priest fan. His work on Deathstroke and Black Panther is still top notch. I've read some of his Black Panther, but none of his Deathstroke. So I need to get into that. Are the rumors true on Jamie Foxx being the new Spawn, and when are we getting that live action Static Shock movie? So, as far as I know, the Spawn movie is still in production, although Todd McFarlane doesn't seem to be able to find like a distributor for it. But yeah, I mean, he got Jamie Foxx to sign on really early on. So I don't know like how far it is in development, but if it does come into fruition, then yeah, he'll be the star, assuming he doesn't get too super old. Let's see. Did you hear all the upcoming Black development at WB Discovery has been put to a halt? Static Shock and the Black Superman projects. Yeah, that's actually something we're supposed to get into later in the show. So I'll give my thoughts a little bit later. But yeah. Deathstroke run by Priest is so underrated. Word. Let's see. After Far Sector, I wish it was Campbell doing Static. Honestly, I love Jamal Campbell's art, and I would not be mad at Jamal Campbell drawing Static, but I do love the energy that Nick Draper Ivy brings to Static, and I'm very excited to see him. I don't know if you follow him on Twitter or Instagram, but he basically has been saying that his vision for Static is a lot darker, not the character, but like the world around the character. And when he's left to his own devices, you get really, really good artwork. So I'm excited that in season 2 or in the Shadows of Dakota, you're going to get like a basically a grittier story, and you're getting Nick as a writer as well as an artist. So I'm excited to see what tone he brings to it. I'm sure, and plus I know that he's been wanting to tell a story with Ebon like the whole time. So after these 6 issues, I think I'm cool with a new artist, unless Nick just wants to do it for the rest of his life, which I doubt. He's just not that type of person based on his public tweets. But I'm excited to see what happens with season 2 or the Shadows of Dakota series before someone else takes over. Let's see. I know it's hard to answer, but so many channels just want to show all the stuff they have. What's hard to answer? Did I miss your other comment? I might have missed the beginning of this message. Tim says, my LCS knows how much of a Milestone fan I am, so I already pre-ordered just in case. Yeah, like me just, being so outspoken about my fandom has helped me out a lot. Like I ended up getting all of the Milestone posters. Whenever they send promo stuff to the shop, I typically get first dibs. And I'm very grateful to my shop for that. So yeah. If Michael Jai White doesn't make an appearance, I don't want the new Spawn movie. Or I love Draper Ivy's work. I can feel how much of a Static fan he is. Yes, I agree. Also, it's pronounced like the letters Y and Z. It's the model of the dirt bike I have, a Yamaha YZ250. Got it. Got it. Ayala needs the balance, so hearing that he's a co-writer is awesome. Yeah, he has a co-writer. I think, like I wasn't mad at Vita Ayala's writing in season 1. I feel like, and I think this has kind of been an issue with all of season 1, right? Because one of the books I read very recently was Blood Syndicate, season 1, issue 4. So that just came out Tuesday. And this was the first time that I felt like they were like, or that Jeff Thorne was trying to stuff too many details in one book and kind of like introduce too many things at once. But I think that's just a flaw of being limited to these 6-issue seasons, that are supposed to tell a complete story. So in this case of Blood Syndicate, Jeff is trying to do something where it's a little bit, I don't know if I want to call it more decompressed. Well, it is more decompressed than the original, but it also tries to go like deeper into each character. But in doing that, you have less time for like the action and some of the other important plot threads. I think it's a very fine tightrope that you have to walk to develop characters while putting them in an interesting story situation. And I think for a group with as much depth as the Blood Syndicate, like you need more, you need more real estate. Like I need like two 4-issue arcs or something. Like we can't squeeze it all into 6 issues. Um, but yeah, Wokanado says Thorne did that in his Green Lantern run too. He wants 40 pages worth of writing in a 23-page issue. Word. I mean, I'm fine with it if you can execute it well, right? But if it feels like okay that this is rushed, right, then it's difficult. But like I said, I don't know. I can't speak to how it went with Green Lantern. I feel like he knew that he was telling 12 issues. Um, but with Blood Syndicate, it feels like he's writing with the intention of, okay, I'm going to pick up on a lot of this stuff in the next season. But as far as I know, there's no guarantee that we're going to get another season. So hopefully it all works. Hopefully it all works. Let's see. Since reading comics, what's your favorite storyline or event you've read? Mine would be World War Hulk. House of X is an event, right? House of X was my first event, and it's still my favorite. I enjoyed Death Metal, but there were just too many tie-ins. But I liked the story. It was fun, but it didn't have like the depth or the impact to me that House of X and Powers of 10 had. Um, let's see. Yeah, that's probably it. The Joker War was a funny event as well. I really enjoyed the Joker War, but I think the rest of Tynan's run kind of soured Joker War for me because he basically did it all over again for Fear State. Um, so yeah, there's that. Yeah, if I had to pick one favorite, it's gonna be House of X and Powers of 10. Do you think the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths will appear in the Milestone universe? No. They've been pretty clear, Reggie and Dennis have, that the Milestone universe or Dakota universe is happening way over here if the DC universe is happening over there. So they're trying to keep it as separate as possible. And I think that's, you should, because the Dakota universe is really, it's got enough going on as it is. They've got their own little crossovers going on with hardware and icon. So I'm totally fine just staying in Dakota and not referencing Superman. Any upcoming omnibus collections you're looking forward to? Let's see. Pull up my wish list here. I've got to fix it because a lot of these books got pushed back. Um, Batman No Man's Land Volume 2. It's coming out at the end of this month. And then before or after that, what I'm excited about, the Black Panther Early Years Omnibus, even though I have a lot of those stories in that other Black Panther collection I showed you guys the other day. But I'm excited to get like Black Panther in omnibus format. So between the early years, Black Panther by Coates, Black Panther by Priest, I'm crossing my fingers that we get a Hudlin Black Panther before the end of the year too. But seeing that it's still not solicited, probably not. Let's see. What is this milestone thing? I don't know anything about it and I'm kind of confused. Let me help your confusion. So, all right, I was going to try to do visual aids. I'm not going to do all that. But Milestone was a company. I say was. There have been 2 iterations of Milestone, but Milestone is a company that was founded in 1992. Basically with a goal of bringing more diversity into comics. They started out as a Black comics imprint, and then through the leadership of their first editor-in-chief, Dwayne McDuffie, they ended up just being like a more inclusive, rather than like just being about Black people. So they're like the first imprint that really did diversity right, in my opinion. Right, like you get characters from diverse backgrounds, but also with diverse thought processes and thought patterns. And so this is like the first time you start seeing people who may be a different race, a different ethnicity, a different sexual orientation, who aren't necessarily defined by those things, but those things do inform their experience and they inform the way they speak to people and stuff like that. So, if you've ever seen Static Shock, the cartoon, it's based on Static, which is this card I'm holding up. Static is one of the premier books of the line. So their books were Hardware, Blood Syndicate, Icon, and Static. Those were the first four. They eventually expanded to Zombie and the Shadow Cabinet and Cobalt, Heroes, and then a few like different like crossovers and little mini series and stuff like that. But anyway, Static really only existed in publishing for, or excuse me, Milestone only existed in publishing for like 4 years. They closed their doors as a publisher in 1997. And then the Static Shock cartoon came out in like 2001. And then and then Milestone started publishing again in 2020. So a lot of this new stuff, you guys hear me talking about a lot because I didn't think Milestone was coming back, and now they're back. So Milestone was one of the first things that I discovered when I started reading comics. I knew about Static because of Static Shock, and looking for Static comics online kind of turned me on into the whole world of Milestone, and I've become, a bit of a big fan. So I've been fortunate to have conversations with some of the founders of Milestone, prominent figures in Milestone, past and present. And I've been a bit of like a brand champion online. I guess that's what we could call it, right? I have no bearing on what Milestone does. I'm not in Milestone leadership or anything like that. I'm just a fan. And so because I'm a fan, I tend to cover the things that they do. And they've been gracious and they've shouted me out and, shown me love because of it. But that's what Milestone is. So I can like, can I? I can't. I'm gonna do a new room tour eventually, hopefully by end of this month, and you'll see my Milestone collection and why it means so much to me. All right, No Man's Land Volume 2 has been pushed to September. Of course it has. Justice League New 52 Volume 2 and Animal Man reprint are August 23rd. Those are both on my list, so that'd be good. Oh, by the way, if you are interested in learning more about Milestone, there is a documentary on HBO Max that came out, I think, 2 weeks ago tomorrow. But it's called The Milestone Generations, or I think it's just Milestone Generations. And it basically is a pretty good retelling of kind of the rise, fall, and rebirth of Milestone. It's really short. It's only an hour long, but I could do a whole video just reviewing that documentary. But I think, the nuts and bolts of the Milestone story are there if you're interested. Comments with Your Average Joe says, wonder why the documentary didn't mention the New 52 run. Are they that ashamed? I would be. Why do mutant characters always get put in groups and not solo story arcs? Other than Wolverine, he always has a book out. I think that's such a big part of the mutant story is like them banding together because they're feared as a group of people. But I'm fine with mutant solo stories. There's a Gambit book out right now. I know Cyclops has had a series at one point. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the draw for mutants is them as a group and as a team and watching them learn how to work together. At least that's one of the draws for me reading it. YZ can't wait to get that Animal Man reprint. Omni Nation is hyped for the Justice League New 52 Volume 2. Glad they included the full Dark Side War in there. I'm excited for that too. I know that Jim Lee doesn't do any of the art, but Ivan Reyes is good enough for me. He's another one of the top artists in my book. Um, but also, like, I'm just excited between him and Jason Fabik. Fabik. I've heard him say his name once, but I don't remember how he said it. But yeah, so I'm excited about them being in that book. I think Jason Fabik is one of my favorite Batman artists, like, ever. He's definitely top 4 for me. It was cool to see Icon and rocking on Young Justice. Someone asked what I thought about the Milestone return in the Justice League Meltzer era. So yeah, Justice League by Brad Meltzer starts off that run. I think it starts with the Lightning Saga, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, midway through, Brad Meltzer leaves the book after like 24 issues or so. And Dwayne McDuffie, who is one of the co-founders of Milestone, takes over. And as he's doing that, or while he did, he basically signed a deal with DC to bring the Milestone characters into the DC universe. And so one by one, he does bring them into the Justice League through a crossover called When Worlds Collide. But that story ends on a cliffhanger because Dwayne McDuffie gets kicked off Justice League midway through. So anyway, it was cool to see the Justice League and the Shadow Cabinet crossover with each other. I especially like the how they wrote Superman and Icon's relationship. I thought that was really cool. Um, Overall, it's just nice to see Milestone characters in books, period. So I enjoyed it. It was much better than the New 52 stuff and some of the other stuff I've seen with Milestone characters in it ever since, the closure. So yeah. Fifth of Jack says, how's it going? It's been a hot moment since I've caught you live. I haven't been live in like a month. So good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. We got 30 people in the chat, man. That's cool. Thank you guys for watching. Jason Fabik is another beast artist. He's in that Omni too. Yes. Yeah, bummer that McDuffie got kicked. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a funny story. So I don't know who all is familiar with the story of how Dwayne McDuffie got kicked off Justice League, but Dwayne McDuffie used to run like a forum on his website, or like an AOL forum, and basically people would ask him about different behind the scenes stuff, and Dwayne McDuffie always answered like all the fans' questions. And he basically got a little bit too loose with information as far as what characters he was being allowed to use and wasn't being allowed to use. And he was a little bit critical of DC in those posts. And they were like, all right, cool, let's take him off the book then. Because he, revealed a little bit too much behind the scenes stuff. And that was how Dwayne McDuffie got unceremoniously removed from Justice League, despite being the best thing to happen to Justice League in decades, because he was the one writing and doing story editing on the Justice League and Justice League Unlimited animated series. So interesting stuff. Do you think the Magneto character could be told in the MCU without the Holocaust connection? I feel like that time is too far in the past to make sense for today's storytelling. I don't think it needs to be. I don't think you have to change that connection. I mean, I guess if you make him Giancarlo Esposito, you got to change that connection. But I feel like the Holocaust is one of those things that's like constantly like beamed into people's heads in the United States. So it's like no matter how old you are, you know what the Holocaust is, and it's like it's an easy point to reference. So I don't think it needs to change. Can it be told without it? I mean, you can. I don't know that there's a story that strong unless they could probably do something like, well, Watchmen already did this, but focus on like the Tulsa massacre. There are massacres all over the place in the United States for like during Reconstruction. So you could probably get away with that if you're making Magneto black, if you just need to give him like a central trauma point. But I mean, I think the Holocaust story is great. It doesn't really need to be messed with. I think there's not an experience There's not an experience for descendants of white Americans that is going to be much more gut wrenching than the Holocaust. And yeah, that's who's going to see the majority of this movie, these X-Men movies. So I think it's a relevant point. I don't think it needs to be changed. Tyler says, since you mentioned Fabit being number 4, I didn't say he was number 4. I said he's at least in the top 4. I guess that would automatically put him at 4. I'll have to rank them later. What's everyone's top 4 favorite Batman artists? For me, number 1 is Jim Lee, even though we don't get like a ton of Jim Lee Batman. Every time we get him, it's great. So Jim Lee's my favorite. Tim Sale's got to be in there. Fabic's in there. And Fabic, by the way, is in there off the strength of 3 Jokers alone, even though I know he's done other Batman stuff. David Finch. That's David Finch. That's my top 4. Yeah. That's my top 4. Let's see. Tyler Smith, or excuse me, Aku says Jim Lee, Tony Daniel. Ooh, that's a good one. Jason Fabic and Greg Capullo. That's a solid top 4. That's a solid top 4. Frank Miller, Tim Sale, Greg Capullo, Jim Lee. I like Greg Capullo Batman. Maybe I need to read more Greg Capullo Batman. I feel like I like Greg Capullo Spawn more than I like Greg Capullo Batman. Mentor Prizes likes Jorge Jimenez on Batman. Yes, he did. Jorge Jimenez was on James Tynan's run, and he's now on Chip Zdarsky's run. And yes, he is very, very good. I feel like we're all naming people, but we're all like no one's named Neil Adams. No one's named Jim Aparo. There's a lot of names that there's been so many great artists on Batman. That's interesting. If they do make Magneto black, they can always use the Civil Rights Movement instead of the Holocaust. I don't know, using a 1940s origin for today's story, but who knows? I feel like in order to make, the Civil Rights Movement as gripping as the Holocaust, you have to really go dark, and there's plenty of darkness during the history of the African diaspora in America, right? Like we're talking about slavery, Reconstruction, lynchings, and the segregation era. Like there's a lot of really dark places you could go, but I don't know that any major Hollywood studio is going to go to those places. Like those are parts of American history that we tend to sweep under the rug. I feel like we only know as much as we know about the Holocaust because it didn't happen in America. So to address the some of the really dark underbelly of the slave trade and everything that followed, you'd have to kind of admit this black eye on America, and that would not be met well in a lot of comic circles, or at least not a lot of very vocal online comic circles, just based on my experience dealing with people with loud opinions online. So yeah. This has been a fun conversation. I kind of want to save these responses and look at them later and see if I can do a power ranking based on your responses. Capullo, Tim Sale, Francavilla, and Lee for me. I love that Jim Lee is the constant on everyone's list. Norm Brayfogel's up there for Super Laugh Hard. Let's see. I feel the civil rights was already used for Black Panther. I feel like they'd have to skip origins of him, especially when it's been done with first class. I think just being multiverse frees up the possibility to not have origins. I feel like every good superhero needs a good origin, though. At some point you gotta, because you need motivation. We need to know why characters think that way. So asking, hey, where is this character from? What background does this character have? why is this character so passionate? I think that's why the Holocaust works so well. Like I said, slavery could be just as hard hitting, but they've got to really go there to make it that. What's everyone think of Giancarlo Esposito as Xavier for the new X-Men? For me, he'd be awesome, but he'd be better as a villain. He kills it as villains in shows. So, um, yeah, man, Giancarlo Esposito is just, he's brilliant. I mean, he definitely plays villains a lot. Um, as a matter of fact, I'm trying to think of a role that I've seen him in where he wasn't a villain. Like, even in School Days, he's technically the villain. But man, I would enjoy it. What Red Dead Hood says, what's the topics here? We're talking about a few different things. So some people in the chat are giving us their top 4 Batman artists. And then we're also having a conversation about whether or not Magneto's origin could be changed to remove the Holocaust. Like, would it be as hard hitting if we didn't have the Holocaust background? And I mentioned, because there are rumors that Giancarlo Esposito is in talks to be either Professor X or Magneto. If he was Magneto, then obviously that means Magneto is black. And so you would kind of just trade the Holocaust story for slavery, and whether or not that would work. I feel like any story works if you tell it well enough, but you got to go really deep for that. So those are the current topics. James says, I didn't know anything about Tulsa's Black Wall Street Massacre till I watched the Watchmen TV series. Yeah, I mean, I studied African American history in college, and that's where I learned about the majority of stuff. Like, here's what's crazy. I went to school in Greensboro, North Carolina. In 1975, the Ku Klux Klan went to like a workers' protest and like just straight up shot into the projects. And it's not a well-known story, even in Greensboro. And it only happened in 1975. So like, there's a lot of these stories like that. Like there's like in Wilmington, North Carolina, after an election in the 1800s, maybe early 1900s, there was a massacre. Like they literally went through and like killed all of the black elected officials, and a bunch of other black people. There's a lot of like massacres, and we could keep talking about that, but man, like this the stream is going to a dark place. But my point is, yeah, there's a lot of stories to pull from if you want to like kind of expose the underbelly of race relations in this country. But yeah, that's a lot of exposing. Tim Sheeran says Bruce Timm, Tim Sale, Jim Lee, Greg Capullo. Yo, Bruce Timm, that's a dark horse candidate, because like you almost can't vote against Bruce Timm. Like, I know my introduction to Batman was the animated series. Whenever I try to draw Batman, the animated series, the Bruce Timm style is what comes out. So yeah, he probably deserves a spot up there. I love Esposito, but to be honest, McAvoy really nails it for me, just my opinion. McAvoy does really do well as Professor X. Like, I don't need a new Professor X. Rosewood as well. Yeah, there are a lot of stories about like race riots and massacres. I would like the X-Men movies to be told without Wolverine being a part of it. That's my biggest criticism of the X-Men movies, is they just made Wolverine way better than the team itself. But I mean, it's true that the movies hyper focus on Wolverine. But I mean, I can't pretend that Wolverine's not a mainstay in the comics as well. Like, yeah, you could have the X-Men without Wolverine, but why would you? Would you want to? I will say this. I did not appreciate Cyclops, Scott Summers, until I read the comics. That's how much of a backseat they put him in the movies. But I'm a Wolverine fan, so I got 2 Wolverines on this shelf right here behind me. Let's see. What's good, K Squad? We should never hesitate to shine a light on our history. If it wasn't for my favorite teacher in high school, Mr. Atez, I would never have known a majority of it. Yeah, I'm not saying we should be afraid to shine the light. I'm saying I'm doubtful that they will, right? When you think about, um, well, this gets into like testy territory, but when you think about like traditional Hollywood power structure, I think there's a reason that we learn about the Holocaust as much as we do. Um, and I'll leave it at that. Yeah, Wolverine should be in the MCU X-Men, but not in the first film. Still make Wolverine movies though. Yeah, like because I'm totally fine with Wolverine going off and being separate from the X-Men, and if I still get to go see my Wolverine movie, like sometimes I just want to see Wolverine slash stuff up. Once you read Cyclops, you realize it's criminal what they've done to him in movies. My favorite X-Man. Yeah, to read Cyclops is to read like about the burden of leadership and the grace that it takes to be a good leader. Um, yeah. Listen, man, I got nothing bad to say about Scott Summers. Um, but if we have to pit Scott and Wolverine against each other, I'm always picking Wolverine because I just liked him as a kid. But grown man me can appreciate Scott Summers quite a bit more. Um, so yeah, we definitely went off script. That's just kind of the nature of live streams and live chats and Q&A. But we're almost an hour in. So I want to take a few minutes just to talk about like kind of where the channel is and where it's going. Um, so much of what happens on YouTube is like based on the algorithm, and it's based on um that's funny, Carson. It's based on momentum, right? So when you post frequently on YouTube, YouTube rewards you by putting your videos in front of people and so on. So if you're someone like me who basically just took a break for a whole month, like I definitely still posted videos, but not very many at all. Um, so when you do that, YouTube, it's almost like they don't know what to do with your videos when you come back. And so I'm noticing that I'm getting a few less views than I normally would on certain videos. Um, and as opposed to looking at that as like a down thing, um, by the way, we just hit 6,000 subscribers this weekend. I want to say thank you guys for that because that's awesome. I don't think I've ever been in a room with 6,000 people. So, yeah, that's insane to me. But with that, with me knowing that YouTube is going to have to kind of relearn my channel and relearn what the channel is about, I think this is a great opportunity for me to kind of get out of the rat race that I was in. So, for the first like year and a half of this channel, my goal for it, hold on. My goal for the channel had been, I've been kind of viewing it like a business, like a side hustle. I've been trying to somehow make this channel bring in the money to cover my entire hobby, right? And then after we cover the hobby, let's try to like replace income, right? The same with like my other channels. I've got another channel where I talk about music business, and I just started a channel talking about sneakers. We can talk about that in a minute though. Um, but with me starting a new job, it's not realistic for me to try to replace my personal income with YouTube. It would just, it'd be way too much work. And so if that's no longer my goal, then I want to try to approach this more like a hobby than like, a pseudo business. And so what I'm trying to go into for like this next few months, at the very least until the end of the year, um, is like I said, taking a more hobbyist approach. So less unboxings, less haul videos, less things, just trying to trick the algorithm into showing people more of my videos, perhaps more or less frequent content overall. But what I want to do is I want to make sure whatever content I give you, whatever videos I give you are meaningful. So like the video I did yesterday, where it was like showing you the different digital comics apps and that type of experience. I want to do stuff like that more often, stuff where I can like, it takes me a lot longer to make those videos. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of have to like script it out in my head and then film it and edit and all that. But I want to do more stuff like that. Like I want to do more comics 101, like teaching different practical comic tips. I want to get back to doing the Who's Who. Man, the Who's Who series, I've only done one video in that series. And that video took me like 2 weeks to make. Um, but I want to do more stuff like that. I think eventually, the channel will kind of grow to match the quality of the content. But I know that, the stuff that I want to do is not the stuff that brings in, a ton of views and stuff like that. But I think it'd be helpful because I'm like surrounded by books that I haven't had a chance to read or put away and stuff like that. So I guess I said all that to say that I'm back. The channel's back, but it's going to look different. And the way it's looking, I haven't fully decided exactly what format it's going to take and what things are going to be here to stay and what things are going to go. I know for a fact that I'm going to be buying less books because there's less revenue coming into this channel. And my rule for myself is whatever personal income I make, that is household income. I'm not like taking my paycheck from my job and buying comics with it. So everything that I buy for this channel is funded through YouTube, whether it's my other channel or this channel, and it's funded through like side hustles. But I just do not have as much time to side hustle as I used to. So there's not going to be like any huge omnibus hauls in the foreseeable future. I'm still going to buy like 2 to 3 books a month on the omnibus front. I'm still going to buy my single issue. So you'll still get that video every Monday to tell you what I'm getting and what I'm thinking of like the weekly books. But between those, there will be less unboxings and there will be more what I call meaningful content as opposed to like content meant to feed the algorithm and just post a video just so I can say I posted a video for the day and people saw it. So hope you guys will bear with me. And I hope you enjoy the stuff that I'm trying to make. I want to make more. I want to make comic book content that lasts a little bit longer. And the current format that I've got kind of locks me into making a new video just to talk about the latest thing. And I don't want to do that. Comics with Your Average Joseph, when I first got into comics, it was so overwhelming to find out how to get into it, especially if you're a continuity type person. Yeah, that has been an issue for me as well. Can't lie. And that's part of the reason I started the Who's Who series, because what I want to do is say, hey, here's this character, here's their origin, here's their abilities, and here are a few books or a few stories that you can read if you want to follow this character more. So yeah, I did the one for Static, and I want to do one. I wanted to do one for Moon Knight. I want to do one for Jon Stewart. I want to do one for Shuri. I probably will do one for Shuri, and that'll probably come out when the Black Panther 2 movie comes out. But I want to do more stuff like that. But I know that that type of stuff takes way more time. So you're more likely to get like 2 of those a month and nothing else if it was up to me. And if I got to like talk about, or if I got to do it all myself. Born Hitman says, look forward to more in-depth reviews and analysis. Me too, man. Me too. I know for a fact that the comic book reviews just do not do all that well, but I enjoy making them. So taking the pressure off of this channel to make me money is definitely going to hurt the channel in that way. But I'm excited about the result for the content. And like I said, I hope that you guys stick around, and hopefully as I get better at making these in-depth videos, people who are really into comics will come and find the channel as well. Because I know a lot of people they just want to see somebody buying a bunch of stuff. Like they just want to see me with a big stack of books next to my face. And that's not helping anybody. All that's doing is peer pressuring people into trying to buy comics that they can't afford, and peer pressuring me into trying to buy comics that I can't afford and that I have no space for and that I have no time to read. So yeah, that's That's where the channel's going. But overall, like I said, I'm trying to take more of a hobby approach. I started this channel because comics was a fun hobby for me, and it's become like a pseudo business. I don't necessarily like that because business comes with business pressures. Um, and then talking about, you know, just doing things that, you like because they're hobbies. That's why I started the sneaker channel. There are I love sneakers. It's always been something that I've been passionate about. I can't really participate in the sneaker grind like everybody else does because sneakers are expensive. Same reason I can't buy a million comics. But there are these companies that sell like replica sneakers and they're willing to send them out to people who make YouTube videos about them or whatever. So I think it's just a fun way to stay in the sneaker conversation. It doesn't mean that I'm like some sneaker god or something. Heck, I'm like wearing fake shoes, but it's just something that's fun. So I wanted to explore that and just do something again that's not like with the goal of making me more money, but it's just something fun to do. So that's what I want my life on YouTube to be, like me having fun and not me trying to make money somewhere. I think collected editions is the best way for someone who like me who's new to a lot of these stories. Since I started reading singles again, while enjoyable, it can be frustrating waiting for the next issue. I enjoy reading books issue to issue, but it can be a lot. Like if you like a lot of characters, or so for me, I wasn't buying collected editions at first. If I had like met someone who was into comics and who would have told me to read collected editions, I would have been grateful because that's great advice. But what I would normally do was, okay, I like Green Lantern on TV. There's a new Green Lantern series starting, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up. And oh, I like Spider-Man, so Spider-Man 37 just came out. I'm going to pick that up too. And X-Men and Wolverine and all, and I ended up with a pull list the size of a CVS receipt. And the stories weren't even that good, if I'm being honest. And what I would do is I would like wait a few issues until like a new story arc started, and I would keep trying to like justify, like, okay, well, I know I love these characters. Why don't I love the books? And they just weren't that great. But with collected editions, like with these omnibus and stuff like that, I could just grab a story that we already know is good because it's already run its course. I could buy Fantastic Four by Hickman. I could buy Batman by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I can buy Ultimate Spider-Man and read a really, really good book um, without being subscribed to it every week, right? And with these services like Marvel Unlimited and DC Universe and stuff like that, like I showed in that last video yesterday, you can do that for a lot cheaper. So I don't know, if you guys were watching what I'm getting when I first started it, my budget was like $50, but I would very often spend like $80 a week until I like sat down and was like, all right, no, we got to get this under control. But $80 a week, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So yes, I absolutely recommend collected editions. Buy a trade paperback, or even better yet, buy yourself an iPad and just read the books on the subscription service, and see what you think of those. Resellers ruin sneakers for me. How I go from being a kid who couldn't get them to getting them to not being able to get them again. That's my story as well, right? I used to be a kid on my mother's dial-up, just looking at sneakers all day. When I got my first job, that's where all my money went, was sneakers. I got to college, sneakers. And then 2014, 2015, all of a sudden you couldn't get anything. Like it used to be like the general release books would sit, or release sneakers would sit, and you could go walk in the store and get them. Not anymore. Everything's a raffle. Everything's like you got to be on the sneakers app, and you never hit on anything. So if you even want to get sneakers, you're either gonna pay like $400, $500, $600 for the pair you want, or you're gonna buy fakes. And I hate that it's come to that, but that's where it is right now. Let's see, the CVS receipts are crazy long. Yeah, so was my pull list. I literally printed out my pull list in December, maybe November, and I had to highlight one by one which books I wanted to keep. and it was like a 3-page document. It was crazy. Yeah, writers used to write for the singles format, mainly because collected editions didn't exist, but that's changed a lot over time, a lot more so in the past 10 years. It's true. I'm from Dade says, I prefer to hear or watch good conversations about comics than how many books someone purchased. True, true. Let's see. Comics for the Average Joe. I want to start a review channel, but I'm having a hard time getting my LCS, getting my books. So I've been putting a dent on that. But I love talking comics, so that's still my motivation. Word. Yeah, like I enjoy comic reviews, but I can't lie. I don't enjoy reading a book, writing down my thoughts, recording a video about my thoughts, and then posting that video and it gets like 12 views. Um, and I know like you stick with it, the audience will eventually grow and stuff like that, but there's something that like makes that part less fun. A part of why I do these live streams is because it's a conversation and I get feedback. So whether 30 people are watching or 12 people are watching, we have a conversation. If I say, "Oh, what do you guys think about the new Superman rumors?" and you can say, "Oh, I love it, I hate it." That's why I do YouTube, right? But if you make a video, you pre-record it, it gets 12 views and no one comments, it's like, what'd you do it for? Because you knew what you thought about the book before you made the video. So that's the part I enjoy is this community aspect. It's like a big book club every week. And that's also why I put so much emphasis on the K Squad on Discord and on Facebook, because that's the part that I like. Why don't you do live comic book reviews? Because I'm behind on my pull list. Always. I'm always like 2 to 3 issues behind on most books. I am up to date on X-Men and stuff like that. So, but I haven't picked up this week's books yet. Um, so that's why I don't do live comic book reviews. But then also, people don't like spoilers and stuff like that. So that's why. I do collected editions because I can't afford weekly comics. Collected editions I purchase, maybe 2 or 3 a month, are mostly stories I've never read. Just started reading comics again in February. I think that's the way to go, honestly. Um, Plus, I think collected editions display better. They're less messy. You don't end up with stacks of them under your desk. Yeah, I think collected editions are the way to go. Sneakers app out here teaching children life lessons about dealing with failure. That's facts. What else? I've got other stuff on my agenda, but we've hit different things of it. Let's see. I wouldn't feel too bad on being behind. Only books I'm caught up on are Batman and Nightwing. I fell behind on Nightwing, and Nightwing was my favorite book, and I still fell behind on it. I'm caught up on every X-Men book, and then basically every Marvel book that I read, I'm caught up on. Except Spider-Man, because Spider-Man just did like a 90-page issue, and who has time to read 90 pages of one book at one time? So that's coming up though. And then I stay on top of all the Milestone books as well, because they're like, it's my favorite. So other than that, yeah, I'm behind on almost every DC book, because they don't make it easy to read digitally unless you buy the digital copy. And I probably should just bite the bullet, but it's difficult for me to pay the same price for a physical book and only have a file on the computer. That's difficult for me. I'd rather have the physical book and just get to it when I get to it, is how I feel about that. Next up, Nightfall. Word, I've not read Nightfall. I have volume 1 and volume 2 of the omnibus. I'm not really holding my breath for them to reprint volume 3, so I'm going to get the trade paperback for volume 3. But yeah. Nightwing is great. Tom Taylor has a bad habit of stretching storylines. It's been on the same story for 2 years. It has been 2 years. Because I was reading it, and then my daughter was born, and my daughter is a year old now. Dang, that's true. Do you read any comics that don't feature superheroes? Not often, but yes. I read Bitter Root, which I guess they're kind of somehow superheroes. Not really. I was reading Philadelphia. I stopped reading Philadelphia. Very recently, I read Ice Cream Man. Just the first 4 issues, but I enjoyed it. I typically stay away from horror books, and Ice Cream Man was very much billed as a horror book. But what I like about it is like it's more suspenseful and creepy than horrific. Although there are like some horrific things in it, like just kind of gruesome things at times. But um with the Ice Cream Man, it's like one, each issue is a self-contained story. And I'm like scrolling through the book on my iPad while I talk about it. Um, but it's like, I mean, this Ice Cream Man certainly looks like the villain of the story. I mean, that guy looks pretty sinister. But it's like each book, um, there's depth to the stories that I didn't expect. So I can't like a lot of the indie stuff. It's just more mature storytelling. And even when it's not more mature, it's it can be more fun because it's self-contained. Like one of the other stories I love is 4 kids walk into a bank, and it reminds me of like Juno or like The Sandlot, but it's got like a pretty heartbreaking ending. Um, but I love that book. Like so, a lot of indie stories, you just get storytelling that you can't get with the superhero stuff. But the reason I read superhero stuff, oh wow. All right, so this is the cover to Ice Cream Man issue 5. I've never read this book, but issue 5, that is clearly an homage to that dude that like jumped from the World Trade Center. So that's interesting. That was JP messaging me about something. I'm just buttering him up in the chat here. But yeah, just finished reading the 3 trade paperbacks of Bitterroot. Enjoyed it a lot, but I have thoughts about the ending. I wonder what you thought about. I don't want to say spoilers though. Um, I haven't read the end of Bitterroot. I read like the first 7 or 8 issues. I've got all 3 trade paperbacks though, so I need to. I'll finish it this week and I'll tell you about it because I'm pretty sure I've got Bitterroot on my iPad. So I'll finish that in the next couple of nights. That's another thing I love about going digital. I can sit in the bed while my wife is watching her favorite show, and I can be reading without disturbing her. So that's super dope. Someone gave me a few James Bond hardcovers from Dynamite. Seriously impressed. They started a new James Bond series this week with Dynamite. It's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, who's been writing action comics, which I've been enjoying his action comics a lot. I didn't pick up James Bond, or I didn't put it in my pull list, but I might grab that first issue and see what it's all about. I don't know. I have to talk to Dynamite. Maybe I can get like some James Bond hardcovers. That'd be dope. But yeah, let me just check one more time to make sure I'm not like missing anything that I wanted to talk about. Oh, so the only other thing that I had on the agenda was talking about some of this news. Like, what the heck, DC Comics? Like, gone for a month and you cancel every project that's on the slate? Like, what is happening? Meanwhile, Ezra Miller's running around like a madman. Anyway, all right. So that is a terrible picture, but I'm gonna share it because that's what they put on this article. Warner Brothers weighing the fate of the Flash as its Ezra Miller problem grows. If you're not familiar, Ezra Miller plays the role of the Flash. Ezra Miller um, is non-binary, and I believe their pronouns are they, them. So I do not want to be disrespectful by calling them something other than that. But they are 29 years old, and I didn't know they were only 29. But basically, they've been involved in like a string of murders. Like these Ezra Miller headlines sound like they could start with Florida man, right? Florida man gets the cops called on him for stealing alcohol at somebody's house. Florida man assaults somebody on a sidewalk. Florida man says, "You can't touch me," right? All of these are like actual Ezra Miller headlines. I don't know what's going on, but um, yeah, they just been running around being a menace to society. Felony burglary. Before that, arrested in Hawaii, booked on suspicion of second-degree assault. Before that, charges of disorderly conduct and harassment. Yeah, that's wild. But this isn't really telling the full story, right, of Ezra Miller. Before, gosh, before all the Ezra Miller drama, we got news that Batgirl had been canceled and the Scoob Haunted House movie have been canceled at HBO Max, and that like 70% of the HBO Max staff has gotten left or laid off. And then today they were like, the Val Zod Superman project with Michael B. Jordan at the helm, the Static Shock movie that's been in development since like 2015, and and what the Green Lantern project that had been in the works, all are in jeopardy of like not moving any further in production. So I don't know what the heck DC's trying to do. They did have this earnings call where they were talking about how they are trying to basically make DC great again. They're trying to copy the MCU formula, which is literally like what they said. Like, oh, we want to do what they did with Kevin Feige at Marvel. And yeah, I don't know how successful they're going to be. We still do have Black Adam coming out. We still have the Flash movie. Somehow, we still have the Flash movie coming out, even though Ezra Miller is trying their best to make themselves unsellable. And then what else is still coming out? Aquaman 2. And I think Shazam 2, all are still coming out. So that's interesting because it's like, as much as they're like, oh, they want to go in a new direction for DC, they're also making all of this stuff that has roots in the old DC. So like Ben Affleck is back as Batman in the Aquaman movie. Michael Keaton was in the Flash movie, but I don't know if that's ever coming out. Like, well, obviously they're still trying to move forward with it. But Michael Keaton was also in Batgirl, and they canceled that, even though the movie was already shot and like mostly edited. And they spent $90 million on it. Look, I'm not the comic book movie news reaction guy, but as a DC fan, I'm just like, yo, what the heck? Of course, the thing that means the most to me is the Static film. Like, I really want to see live action Static. And I get it if they don't make that movie happen because, you know, those of us who know who Static is, it's not like we're in the majority. So I get it. If you're trying to go for like big blockbuster movies that are going to make $1 billion, maybe the Milestone universe isn't the place you go for IP. Maybe you do just try to make a new Superman or a new Flash or another new Batman. New owners are trying to recoup money because Warner and DC have lost money the past 5 years, so it's budget time over there. Yeah, I get it. I've heard there's some kind of rule to where if money is spent under an old regime and you commit to like not trying to sell anything associated with that project, then you can use it all as a tax write-off. But if that's the case, this Flash movie could have been written off too, right? So I don't know. I don't know what direction they're going in. It doesn't feel like they have a direction. it just feels like, hey, whatever we can make some money with real quick, let's do that thing. Um, so if they didn't think the Batgirl movie was going to make $90 million back, then I get it. I get it. But the other part of that, though, to Ryan's point, and I don't know if this is exactly the point you were making, but it's all a tax write off. When you lose money, you don't pay taxes on that money. Like, it's the whole reason people start businesses and like LLCs, right? I don't know if you're like, if you are on LLC Twitter, right? But there's a whole section of like different minority communities that's like, yo, everybody should start an LLC and then you can write off all your expenses, right? I have a comic book YouTube channel that brings in revenue from YouTube. But also when I partner with like other companies like Organic Price Books, our channel sponsor. What's up, Organic Price Books? Um, if I do things that bring in revenue from them and other sponsors that we've had in the past and so on, comic books are a part of my business's budget. And if I spend more money than I make on comic books, I don't pay taxes on the money I spent because I can't, because I don't have it, right? So if DC or Warner Brothers Discovery spent $90 million and they don't recover that, they still write it off. So I don't get that logic either. Maybe there's just like some portions of business that I just don't quite know as a business major, but yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I have Static and Icon number ones plus the World Collide comics for you. How can I get them to you? I should probably get a PO box. I have the Static and Icon number ones, and I do have the Worlds Collide comics. I mean, I always take more copies of stuff, but if there's somebody else that you know who doesn't have those books, I think that'd be a better person to get them to. But what I do with all my Milestone duplicates is I'm a moderator in the Milestone group. So I tend to have like sales and just sell them way below whatever the market price is for them, trying to get people who love the books and trying to get them the books that they love. So if you're on my Discord or in my Facebook group, just message me. And if you're not, just go to bjkicks.link/Discord. Message me and we can set something up. But yeah, I'd rather see somebody else get those books just because I know I have copies of them already and I want other people to get good stuff. 90 mil is as is. They still need to market it, so it might have been 150 mil and tested so bad, so the decision was easy if you want to make a point that the new owners give a crap about the DC future. And I guess that's true. They would have had to spend more money to make the movie worth it or whatever. So you're saying that, okay, we're just going to cut our losses here. Let's only lose 90 million and not more. I get that. They're kind of bleeding money. They've kind of not been profitable for years. So I get going into slash mode. It's just unfortunate that projects that we've been waiting years for. I don't know that anybody was waiting for that Batgirl film, but the fact that they had almost finished it was like, I mean, just put it out. But the Static movie that they've been teasing for like a decade, I'm kind of salty if that's not moving forward. But hey, that's not on me. Recasting at the end of the Flash will probably be the smartest choice in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, you already shot the movie. Like, you know, I feel like the movie's gonna sell regardless of the controversy around Ezra Miller because it's such a big property. Like, I don't think anybody's gonna go and like boycott Ezra Miller and make the movie tank unless Ezra Miller, like, you know, commits a crime that the SVU would be upset about or have to investigate. If that happens, then yeah, that movie's going down in flames. But you know, if they're just being a general menace to society, I think the audience that wants to see that movie could care less. and likely won't even know unless somebody decides to make a big deal of it. And you never know in the so-called cancel culture that we live in, you never know what people are going to make a big deal about. So I see the trepidation, but just put the movie out. Super Laugh Hard says, I'll find something else to send you. Much appreciated, man. And, you don't have to send me anything, but I appreciate the sentiment altogether. I appreciate it all. Very honest, which is appreciated. Yeah, man. I try to be honest. Try to be honest. He has groomed someone, so their days are well and truly numbered. Oh, so you're saying they already committed a sexually based offense, which is considered especially heinous. If that's the case, yeah, man, like edit the Flash out of the Flash movie. Because that's not going nowhere, man. If it gets proven that Ezra does a cult and is drugging minors, is that the allegation? I knew they were running around being a general menace to society and like mooning people and stuff. I'm joking. I just said mooning because it's funny. I didn't realize that the charges or the allegations were as serious as they are. And if that's the case, I don't know why they haven't scrapped this movie already. That's kind of wild. Like to scrap Batgirl with all of the positive press and goodwill that it had garnered and keep Flashpoint. I mean, I get it. Flashpoint is like a central event of the DC universe. If you're going to reboot the universe, you're probably going to do it with Flashpoint. But just get the dude from the TV show or something. Like, just reshoot the Flash scenes. Like, you paid Ezra Miller already, but whatever. Just, pay somebody else and make your movie and make your money. Nobody's going to care that it's not the same Flash as the Justice League because people didn't like him in the Justice League anyway. Let's see. Hope Blue Beetle makes the cut. I hope so too. That would be dope. And just edit him out and say Flash is so fast he can't be seen. Word. Options at WB Discovery are to not have Ezra Miller in any of the marketing, scrap the film entirely, or have limited press with him, according to different sources. Yeah, man. If he's doing what they're saying he's done, if they are doing what people are saying they've done, just take them out of the movie. Like, just don't. Just get rid of them. Sad the Flash has never had its own movie, and this is what happens. Yeah. I'm from D. It says Buddy needs to go. Yeah. That person cannot be the person you reset the entire DC universe around if they're doing what's been alleged. Sheesh. That's rough. Bring back Batgirl. Let's get a petition going. That's crazy. That is absolutely nuts. Let's see. I was trying to find more information about DC films. Here we go. So let's go back to like this list of articles. So DC Films reset adds more confusion for Warner Brothers slate. Walter Hamada was gonna leave when Batgirl got canceled. Sharon Stone's gonna be in Blue Beetle. DC Film reset. Blah blah blah. These are all opinion articles, and I'm not a fan of reading people's opinions. Just tell me what happened. Oh, that's interesting. Walter Hamada, before the sale to Discovery, was gearing up to release 3 or 4 films a year. He was brought on in 2018 to chart a new course for DC after Zack Snyder's roadmap imploded. Hamada's plans were to have included a Crisis on Infinite Earths event. Um, Rumors circulated around the Secret Six from the Suicide Squad. And more concretely, Warner had films based on Supergirl, Green Lantern Corps, and Static Shock expected in the next few years, plus a J.J. Abrams produced Black Superman film from Ta-Nehisi Coates. Development has slowed, with none of those features attaching directors. In the meantime, we're still getting season 2 of Peacemaker. Still getting Blue Beetle in August 2023. We're getting Joker 2 with Lady Gaga. We're getting Black Adam. We're getting Aquaman 2. And also The Flash, starring the embattled actor Ezra Miller. Yeah, that's weird. That is really weird. Ezra Miller participated in regularly scheduled additional photography over the summer, apparently without incident, before being charged with burglary, their third arrest this year, on August 7th in Vermont. Still, neither DC nor Zaslav have indicated the film will move from its 2023 June release date. That's a mess, man. That is a mess. Is this about the awful state of DC? For what I know, Ezra's playing multiple characters in this movie. It's impossible to hide him. Joker 2 will be a musical. That's hard to wrap my head around. I loved The Joker as a one-shot movie. I don't need a sequel. Carson says, enjoy this, guys. Spend some time with the wife. Everyone be safe. Thanks for being here, man. Enjoy your wife. Enjoy your wife. It will probably be years, but I'm a Green Lantern fan. It'd be dope to get a good live action movie. Yeah, I'm down for seeing specifically a Green Lantern Corps movie. No disrespect to Hal Jordan, but I'm Team John Stewart, and I also like Kilowog. As a matter of fact, I've been enjoying all the Corps that I've seen. So, yeah, there's that. Ezra Miller playing GTA 5 in real life. Word. CEO pointed out how the Trinity is one of the main focuses for DC. Yeah, I saw that in the earnings call. And I get it. Yeah, I mean, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, that's cool. But we've had a lot of Batman, and we just had 2 Wonder Woman movies. I'm down for a good Superman movie, but Henry Cavill's getting old. Like, just do it right if you're gonna do it. Hope the next big DC movie will be the Trinity movie. I'm totally fine with them not crossing over for like 4 years. Like, do it like you did the Avengers. Just give everybody solo movies and slowly bring them together. Don't try to make Justice League the sequel to your first DC Universe movie. You know? I guess Justice League was technically part 3. Because we had, what was it? Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, and then Justice League. But yeah. They could have done a Cyborg movie. Not anymore, they can't. Ray Fisher tried to burn that place down. I don't even think he wants to do it at this point. That's why they should do a Sinestro War movie. Ooh, that would be dope. That would be dope. Loki should just do a giant reboot and let me direct the new universe. I feel like that's what every fan says. Like, just put me in charge. I just can't believe that Ezra Miller story. Like, that has way more layers than I thought it did. And that is insane. Like, how is that movie still in development? Because they don't want to waste all that money. I get it. I get why it exists, but that's crazy. I'm looking at the Lunar Distribution website. This B cover for Batman Urban Legends number 18 is pretty dope. I didn't buy it, but it's dope. A lot of good stuff out this week. They did a Harley Quinn homage cover, homaging the first appearance of Robin. That was pretty good too. Ryan Lawner says, "Have a good night, K Squad." Yes, please do. Thanks for being here, man. I like to develop characters and then maybe do team squad movie after you have the development done. Yeah, look, take the MCU approach. You know, give me a Ted Cord Blue Beetle movie. Give me Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. You know, that'd be a fun movie. And then, do something a little bit more serious and then ease us into like the big players, right? I think that's kind of the beauty of the MCU. The MCU is like all C-list characters. Let's see. Kevin says, speaking of selling books, when are you doing Whatnot again? I should do Whatnot again because I'm like surrounded by stuff that I'm not going to get to. The biggest thing is just making the time to do a Whatnot sale. You have to like kind of go through all your inventory in advance, tag it, upload it into the website, and then put it in there. So I don't know. I don't know when I'm gonna have time to do all that listing. It's so much easier to just kind of take a picture of stuff and throw it up on a Facebook post. But I do enjoy Whatnot. Whatnot is fun. So the short answer is I don't know. The long answer is I don't know, but as soon as I do know, you'll be the first that I tell. That's that part. The other thing though is I feel like when my Whatnot show had a theme, like when I did the Milestone Whatnot sale, that did really well because everybody knew what to expect. Everybody knew it was going to be a bunch of Milestone books. Everything else is just kind of like I have to find a theme to do it. Like it's got to be like, okay, I'm going to sell a bunch of X-Men books today, a bunch of Superman books tomorrow or whatever. And you just got to have time to plan out that stuff. And then I also got to buy packing materials. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. But as soon as I find out, I'll let you know because I've got less money coming into the channel than I did before. So I am going to be like selling some stuff to make room for other stuff that I want to buy. Like, starting in September, the omnibuses are going to be coming out a little bit more often again. I want to get those extra covers for Static. So there's stuff I gotta make room in the budget for. So I do need to sell some stuff off here soon. But I don't know. Just keep an eye on the channel because when I do find out, I'm gonna do like community posts and I'll post in the squad on Facebook and Discord and all that. I'm gonna get out of here in a few minutes here, but Super Laugh Hard says if you're at any of the AWA Upshot releases, I've liked what I've read so far. I read Erratic. I enjoyed Erratic. Great Spider-Man book. And then I read, what's the one we read for the book club? Grendel, Kentucky. I really liked Grendel, Kentucky. It's not one of those books that I would normally pick up, but they picked it for the K Squad book club on Facebook. And I really enjoyed it. Nice little monster story. So that was cool. Those are the only two AWA Upshot books that I've read so far. Tim Sheeran says, I'm planning on doing a Whatnot sale if I get approved eventually. This October, going to burn a hole in my pocket with the Static books. Yeah, man, I'm not looking forward to it, but we do have 2 months to prepare. So I'm trying to prepare. Well, look, I appreciate you guys being here with me for the next or for the first hangout we've done in a long time. Again, prayers up for Kamar. If you're watching this on the replay, our thoughts are with you, brother. Appreciate you being a valued member of the squad, and I hope you feel better soon. And that's going to do it for me on this broadcast. I'm going to see you guys in another video very soon. Until then, I hope you saw something you liked. And if not, hey, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy and be nice to others because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.